What time is it, Mr. Skellington? Well, it's time for Skrota. Portable word poems for the way we live today. That sounds quite good. Could we all contrive to arrive in time for a congenial meal? The intervening months played havoc with our third eyes, burned with glimpses of the weather's filament. Didn't the imagination snow? And then hypothesis yielded sinkholes. Then a gentle haywire curdled our magnetism. So the answer was no, after all. We'll never contrive to arrive in time for a congenial meal. We'd have to ruin our digestions with pouches of sodium-rich pre-food. I was given winter clothing by the monks up at the Grange. I used my sleeve to let the monks in, one by one, eddying from cloister to chapel floor. And me and the monks pretended to lick the walls for butterscotch, going, "Yum! Nature's natural honey off the bricks," says one monk. "Changed by spores and pollens from stone perspiration," says another. And me, remembering a day to come, deeply marked on the calendar in several inks, when the bricks would be exposed, dry and nerveless. I bulldozed shut the entrance, stapled shut me winter sleeve, trapped several monks inside. I thought, better that than butterscotch, unlickable, dripping in freshets from monkish hope.
Wrapped things tapered on the wind.
The revellers in boating ships have cut a vicious chevron through circular horizons of the modern sludge. Hurdled with a fruit slice, their fortune is a pinch of lettered garment, turned up at the heel as if to flinch from a briar lunch. Unclean, they say, unclean, and shoes with the charm of a robber's dog, gold the sticky lover's worm in its leafy cradle, becalmed in the stink of a fellmonger's slump. And the shoes around the corner, sipping from the visitor's potato and lying flat under the window in a spray of locomotive whiskers. I took a very risky tumble in the wake of a lorry. This was for one reason alone. I knew the hydrocarbons would save me, and what a thrill. So there I was, sponsored by dust hatching in the wind. All the morning light was driven by a helix of floor cloths, purple-grey, like the buttocks of a seated cadaver. When I caught up with the lorry, my tongue extended, ready to taste the deep engine darkness, and then retire. Corn dolly feathers make a perfect sphere, down simmered to a circle by my arresting hand. Into it I placed the word I coined when under breakfast, the density of which was the head of a match. Black coral from Welsh geology, the kind my giant elders bit in two. I remember my giant elders, their teeth hummingbird feathers that gnashed a tearful joke to bruise our pudding hope. I used the word I coined when under breakfast to honeycomb the orchards with aviation cushions, lazy and crumpled with accidental smiles, the kind my giant elders watched in the chimney smoke. My camera showed me a windy post office, made from wet wood and postcards and corrugated rust. I saw a salted wind thread its whistling through the daylight seams, and once inside, my body became a separate unit, trying to be funny in the queue with nobody listening. Pale were they, and standing crooked, in garments that were more a quality of light than a fibre won from plant or stripped from beast. You were the child blowing on his spoon during hot soup, said the postmistress, who was just a drawer full of rubber bands and string and a little notebook full of luxuries in pencil. Welcome to St Kilda, she said. Oh, it's a dream come true, I said. A dream come true. I've always wanted a dream come true. And this one is it. It's certainly among them. St Kilda. Yes. I had a book, and the people had wide feet for climbing the cliffs. And something quiet as a closed window, some sort of drowsy local ciggy, a reduction of psychic tension set upon a dune of slippers, condenses the weather into blue upholstery. Reedy pipers, bristling profuse, plan the tired details of your kitchen, and they spot the gonks, looping, rubber twinge, each a name that waters on your tongue. Then, a treat. Sub-Amadeus music florists offer a curly baroque phantasm, a music of frothy contours scumming like the bloke marina. The heavens came down hereabouts, scattering the snakes and the viruses, scattering the snakes and the viruses, with a violent displacement of occupying gases. A fluffy winter palace was stitched into me. I only found out about it after I was dead. Stone corridors, audible with dripping, and rope wood shoes that were fiendishly crude. They slid one way in the morning, and then in the afternoon they slid another. And I was about to turn, roll over in my sleep, when a fluffy winter palace burst out the back of my head. I thought, lovely, I'll settle down here. Began to prefer silence. Began to prefer silence. Then the diesel-blooded spoons stirring the tarmac open and made 4 cobbled neighbourhoods give hard-faced toil. Then came the rain like a glass battlement, safeguarding the metals of Remembery Lane. In the cat traps, trapped cats told stories of gravity's treachery, and they rode the flush to seaside on sea, where the street ended naturally. The street ended naturally in documentary prose. Began to prefer silence. Meadows boxed with distant horse are brimming and unsuitable for cloud. And eyes, gentle with a girding of felspar, bow into the edible lashes and sip from the midst of an insect panic. A bow-legged one, braced with salted ligaments, measures distance with a blue vastness of pain, and itches, bitten all over the rocks, set in a glinting dry chowder of grit, poach the inkling of a grin, splashing in bleak forensic waters, entering the world on bacon stilts, taking home its cylinders from the Abbey. Now, because he's on the fat list, Stumpus Rupert is feeling halfish, wending his leisure circles round and round Fat Park. But we're all on the fat list, Stumpus Rupert. The Great Pyramids, shipwrecks in the Gulf of Mexico. Even the virtual but neighbourly thin ghost who built my fat village has obesity issues. Oh, we're all fat now. It's a fact we can't run from, because we're too fat to run. Even the Olympians limp on in. And fat is silent, fat is loud. Fat has lucky frog seeds of bulbous lunch adventure, mentioned on this morning's trip hazard video bite, which ended with the words, "When fat comes to town, we'll all be sitting down." Rotting with a glad tingle, that's me. In grey climate youth sandals, that's also me. Behaving like new gold in the vulgar slipstream of an ancient bog lantern, that's me too. I am mild and butter-throated, a sloping mattress of a quiz. I've come to bounce ridiculous in the corner of your eye. And what a nutshell to be stationed on your doorstep, eh? Eh? My shapes are not carefully arranged, nor is my name a balanced equation for the tongue, but I have a coal miner's luxury of woes to drift in sweet emulsion before you. Look, here's the dangle fruit that hatches jaspers from thin air. Here's the box of stress council tissues for well-being, each one carefully replaced after use. There are machine guns in the music. Listen, listen with distance to that old dummy farmhouse somewhere in the back of your mind on government land. Adam Curtis is there, with a map printed on a silk handkerchief. So promise to be sensible, and he'll give it to you for keeps. Listen with your gaudy disco petals, and consider yourself A, a statistic, or B, an illustration. Adam Curtis is there to tell you what really happened. Don't ignore the lad. The mother hides her cupboard in the treetops to make the dusty pines beg for tins to fall. Wednesday saw Pasta Continental roll through an aperture, a slow and silent smile. It pressed uncommon grains into the bark, and the woodcutter's eye was trumped into a sense of void crowded with an absence of trees. The mother runs deep with reasons, thought the trees still standing. Her garden is underneath bricks projecting from the general wall, and a child is robbing her with mumps. The sky behind them could bid you shrug, uneasy. It isn't like summer on the glacier, when moss smelt like candle smoke and the wind shuffled home in its blankets. This is a broom shaft effigy, splintered sore with bricks, projecting from the general wall, and her garden is underneath those bricks, projecting from the general wall. Thanks very much. Cheers for now.